Okay, hopefully this comes up. There it is. Hey guys, welcome. Yes, this is a live stream today. Again, welcome. This is a live stream today, December 29th, 2024, the final Sunday in 2024. Now I'm going to double check for a second, guys. Hold on for a sec while I double check something. Always like to double check. Hopefully things are working right. If it lets me double check. Let's see now. Oh, I know what to do. Check on my phone. Because apparently, I guess the app on the YouTube app on the smart TVs is like, we're not going to let you do that. And I do apologize for any interruptions that might happen. The phone might ring and everything, because, I might get a call, concerning stuff and everything. So just letting you know that right now. Just letting you know that right now and everything. Let's see. Hold on. Sort by. No, that's not it. Just looking at the phone right now, guys. But yeah, we're going to look back at 2024 here from a personal and headlining point of view or aspect, if you will. And let me try something here for a second, guys. Let me try something here. Um, but yeah, we're going to look back at 2024 from a headlining and like I say, personal point of view. And I do apologize for any lags you might hear or something like that. Basically, my computer, I paused some updates and all that because apparently, from what I've understood, it likes to do updates and everything when it's not supposed to, or it likes to load when it's not supposed to, you know, stuff like that. So I do apologize for that. Like I said, any kind of lag. It's almost like when it's like I've said before. Okay, just double checking here, guys. I think yeah, it's working and everything. But like I said, basically, it's like, and I've said this before. It's like when you pause the updates on a computer, it's like, oh no 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 no, you're not gonna pause any updates right now. You know. So so. Okay. Okay, so it is working. But anyway, though, guys, yeah, I just wanted to come on here. We're gonna look back at 2024 from a personal and headlining aspect, and I can tell you, as the video says it best. And oh, by the way, super chats are open. Super chats are open if you want to help donate that way. It'd be greatly appreciated. Donate what you can and everything as we go along with this live stream. And again, I do apologize for any interruptions, because there might be phone calls and all that as well. Do personal phone calls, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here and look back at 2024 and everything, and my computer decides it wants to load right now, so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, well, it's gonna load, so I don't know why, but it just decides it wants to load and everything. And the one thing you know about when it's going to, like, let's say an update, maybe virus protection update or whatever, is you have the timer or you have the clock on the bottom of your screen or top of your screen, or wherever you have it on your computer or your laptop, and all of a sudden the time stops. It just stops. But then when you look elsewhere, where you have a clock or something like that, you know, and you see that the time is moving, you notice that, okay, wait a minute, my phone's time says it's like 12:15, but the computer still says 12:13 or something like that, or my alarm clock says 12:17, but it says 12:15 on the computer. That's mainly because what it's doing is it's loading. It's loading an update. It's catching. It's doing something. It's like loading minor updates. It's got all these headlines that it's doing. So yeah, it's kind of that situation that you got to deal with as well. So again, I do apologize for any lag you might experience, or you might hear, I should say. You might hear because it has to, do its updates and everything. Especially after you pause them. And again, it's like when you pause it, it's like not so fast. And to me, it's like if Windows and Mac and Linux don't want you to pause, and Dell and all that, whoever doesn't want you to pause, the monthly updates, then why put a pause option in there? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Why put a pause option? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense to me. You know, doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I want to, like I said, look back at 2024, a year that, as I said, went by very, very quickly. And I mean, it did, guys. I mean, let's be honest, it did go by very, very quickly. I mean, it felt like 2024 just started, and now we're coming to an end this Tuesday being the 31st, New Year's Eve, and then of course midnight being the beginning of 2025. And I'm here on my computer, kind of doing its loading thing as well. So that kind of tells me it's doing some loading or something like that. Yeah, it's doing some loading. It's like it's got to load and everything. Again, it's like why didn't they just put a notification too, saying, wait, doing some little updates and trinkets here and there. Don't use your computer for about 15 minutes. It's like why don't they just say that? But they don't. They know they can't say that because then again, it would prove to everybody, oh, they're doing an update, and everything. So yeah, it's just one of those situations where you just got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Just got to deal with it and work around it. Um, but anyway, just double checking and everything. I'm just double checking. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. 2024. It's like it just started, and now all of a sudden it's over. You know, all of a sudden, all of a sudden it's over, and okay, now my thing stopped loading. My computer just stopped. It's slowing down on its loading. Again, it feels just weird. Like it's like you're suddenly doing something, and the computer's like, "Oh, wait, time. Let me do some updates. Clean. Give me a whole day, please." It's like it's understandable if you want the updates to happen, but if you don't, and you still have other updates you're doing, so be it. Go ahead and do it. But it's like, come on, seriously, this is stupid. You know what I'm saying? But again, getting back on topic, as I drink some coffee here, guys. Some gingerbread flavored Starbucks coffee with frosted cookie creamer by International Delight. Good combination. Same with the holiday blend. You should try it out. But yeah, like I said, 2024, it felt like, it just began. It felt like it just began. And now all of a sudden it's ending this Tuesday being the last day of the year, and then midnight being the beginning of 2025. Um, and I'll say this, like I said, it's been a year that felt like it went by very quickly. And of course, with someone like me being unemployed for most of it, that's an understatement. You know, that's an understatement to say the least. But, you know, whether it's unemployed or not, it still was a good year. It was a good year, especially political wise. If you're someone that wanted, things to get righted, in the United States, it was a good year. Um, but the thing is, it just felt like it went by very, very quickly, and that's not an exaggeration either. It's not an exaggeration. But I will say this, for me, even though I was unemployed for most of it, these final few months, the end of September into mid to late December, I was able to make a little bit more money. And I'm going to get some money hopefully in tomorrow thanks to my UE unemployment. But we'll see. It might just be 1 week because I got paid the final week of my seasonal work where I was. Um, anyway, anyway though, like I said, it felt like it went by very quickly. Now I know it just can't be me, that felt that. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but did you guys feel the same thing? Didn't you can let me know in the live chat as well? Let me know as well as in the comments, after the recording. But let me know in the live chat if you felt like it went by real quickly. And again, guys, super chats are open. Love to hear from you guys on that. Um, but yeah, it felt like it went by, really quickly. And you know, honestly, I don't think it could. And honestly, I think for a lot of people looking to next year as well as next month, it couldn't come any sooner. Because as soon as January 1st, New Year's Day hits, we'll be officially 19 days away, 20 to 19 days away from a new regime taking over in the USA. Uh, and if you count the 31st, that's 20 to 21. You count the 30th, that's 21 to 22. And you count today, that's 23 to 22 days away from that moment happening. And again, for a lot of people, it can't come any quicker. It can't come any quicker um, than what it is as we speak, as we do this live, if you will. Um, but yeah, it just went. It felt like this year went by really, really fast, and maybe it was just me, but it was a year that personally, like I said, I just dealt with the change I was going through. I mean, here's what's crazy. Here's what's crazy, guys. So, as a lot of you may or may not know, for those of you that have followed my channel, um, I don't know if it was at the end of December. I don't know when it was, but I had to wait a little over 90 days before I was able to monetize again. Because, I mentioned this in a video, and I think I mentioned it in a live stream, but in case you guys don't know, one of the big hiccups and headaches for me going into this year, at the start, I should say, was the fact that apparently I got hit with a false claim. And as I mentioned originally, what I did is I deleted a lot of my videos related to the subject that I got falsely claimed for. And I looked it up, and when I looked at the claim, I was like, wait a minute. This says something that's non-relatable to the subject, because what it was a false what it was a false claim um, by a group saying that they were part of a overall overall entertainment company's music division, and it's one of the more widely known music divisions out there. And when I saw that, I'm thinking this doesn't seem right. And I looked it up, and apparently I wasn't the only one that dealt with this. I wasn't the only one that got falsely claimed. And then when I looked closely, I realized it was the same individuals that tried to falsely claim me before. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing everything that's going on with Retro Rick here on YouTube, with Irate Gamer recently, Chris Bores, and several others, like Pro Wrestling Unlimited. And I find out that maybe there's a connection. And that connection is whoever these people are that are doing these false claims, they just want to take over your channel, to push their agenda, or basically take over your channel because they don't find it cool. That's what they are. They're just a bunch of trolls. They're just a bunch of hackers and trolls that either want to use your channel because they feel, hey, it's an easy avenue to, sell their products, if you will. Most of those being, the coin situation. Well, others just want to take you down because they're like, oh, what you do ain't cool. But if you show some TNA, if you get my drift, that'd be cool. That's basically what they are. That's basically what I think they are. But I think there is a connection, though. There is a connection between, uh, basically getting falsely claimed, and then having certain people take over your channel because they want to you because they feel your channel's big enough or has a wide audience enough to say, hey, there's our ticket to selling products. Now, hopefully, with this new administration coming into the White House in next month, hopefully we'll see less of that. Because I think one of the things that the government is getting at and will be getting at is the people that own the YT and other outlets. You know, they they're basically allowing this kind of stuff to happen because they don't have any. I guess you could say they don't have over. They don't have a lot of eyes on what they need to be done. I mean, they do have a team YouTube and everything that you can communicate with through Twitter and other means and all that, and which is great. And when you do communicate with them and you give them the information that you know of, from what I understand, they do put it on record so it doesn't happen again. And from what I've understood, when I let them know, hey, this is what happened to me. Here's all the information you need of the individuals that did this. It hasn't happened yet, or not yet, but it hasn't happened ever since. Thank the Lord. It hasn't happened since. Thank the Lord. But I think there is a connection. I think there is a connection between both sides. And it's like, again, it's like, to me, again, it's like, if you want to push your own product, get your own channel. Don't try to take over anybody else's channel because you want to push your own product. That's not right. And thankfully, every time somebody reports this, and God willing, Lord willing, they get their channel back, like Retro Rick got his back, Pro Wrestling Unlimited got theirs back, Chris Boers is getting his back, slowly but surely. Thankfully this doesn't happen again because, you know, the people that did it, their address and all that gets put on record so that if they attempt it again, YouTube, hopefully this time around, or hopefully that time around, will be able to be like, not so fast, don't you dare. They'll be able to prevent it from happening again. But I think that's why you have the DOG and the FCC, or not DOG, but the DOJ, I should say. You have the DOJ and parts of the FCC being like, look, Google, you own outlets like YouTube and other places. You need to sell parts of these off. Like, if you want to keep it within your family, fine, but let other people take control of it and handle it because you can't control most of it. You can't watch over most of it. So, that's why you're seeing a lot of this because obviously there's a lot of complaints going out there saying, hey, look, people are having this happen to them and this happen to them, and it's under your watch, and it's under stuff that you have ownership over, and ownership and control over. So you need to basically separate that and let it go its own way, even if it stays under your umbrella. Like it could still, like with Disney. Disney owns Marvel, they own Star Wars, and all that, but they're letting them operate as if as if they're still their own individual entities. Like they're not owned by Disney, but they are. Like Lucasfilms releases the Star Wars stuff, Marvel Studios releases the Marvel stuff, but they act like their own entities even though they're under the Disney umbrella. So that's basically what I think. I feel and think. You that the FCC and the DOJ want want Google to do. They want them to basically like, hey, keep them within house, but let them be run by other people separately. Down the line, like sell parts of it to these individuals, let them take control, and we're good as gold. So I think that's what's going. So I think honestly, that's what we'll see. What we could be seeing. Honestly, I think that's what we could be seeing as far as YouTube's future and all that under Google. Maybe, but maybe we won't. We don't know. But hopefully things will get straightened out so this kind of stuff doesn't happen again. But again, I think there is a connection between these false claims and these people having their channels taken over. I think there is a connection there, and hopefully Team YouTube, looks into it, takes all the pieces, and puts it together and realize, hey, this feels like it's the same individuals. But yeah, like I said, like I was saying, beginning of this year, if not the end of last year, I had this situation to where it was like I could not I could not monetize. I could not monetize what I was doing and everything here on the YT, mainly due to the fact that someone had falsely claimed me, and it caused me to get a copyright strike. And again, I was unsure what was going on, so I deleted a lot of what was associated with it. Not all of it, but deleted some of it. And I should have kept the video that got claimed, that got me the strike. So I didn't. So when I reported it, I'd be able to keep the video and get that strike taken off. I didn't do that. I had to end up, I had to end up keeping the strike. But YouTube was able to look into it and be like, okay, we see what you're saying. Thank you for the information. And from what I understand, many people like myself have never dealt with it yet, or never not yet, but have never dealt with it since. They've never dealt with it since, due to the fact that YouTube keeps a lot of this on record, and they say, hey, we're not letting you guys pull this kind of crap again. You know, in fact, I can even look it up, hopefully without any issue. I'm gonna Google. Let's see. Okay, this is what it says. I looked this up on Google itself. I asked, basically in the search bar, does YouTube keep record of false claims? And they said, and this is from the Search Labs, the AI overview. This is what they say. Yes, YouTube does keep a record of reported violations of its community guidelines, including instances where users might make false claims under the False Claims Act. Although they may not specifically label it as such, when users report content as misinformation or violation of the policies, YouTube reviews it and may take action on removing the video, issuing a strike against the channel, even terminating the account depending on the severity of the violation. So what that tells me, what that tells me is um, basically they keep um, that I'm getting a little tongue tied here, but basically what this tells me, and you can look it up yourself by putting in what I said, by putting in the question of does YouTube um, keep a record of false claims and all that. Basically, what that tells me is they're making progress. They're trying to make progress, in preventing this kind of stuff from happening again, because they've already had throughout the recent years, some kind of an up and down reputation. So they don't need anything else, hitting them, in the down portion of the reputation right now. So, so I'm kind of glad that they're doing that. And ever since then, we have not dealt with that, anymore. We've not dealt with that anymore. But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And then, of course, I had to reapply and everything. And thankfully, I was able to get back up and running after a while. But yeah, it was just crazy to deal with that. But again, myself and others that dealt with these people that did this false claim under this fake label and all that, posing as someone they're not. Uh, thank the Lord, we've never had to deal with that ever. Thank the Lord, we have not had to deal with that ever again. Not saying that people aren't receptive to that kind of stuff, as we've seen recently with big YouTubers like Chris Bores and Retro Rick. But it's like, you know, thankfully YouTube is, keeping that the records that they need to prevent this from happening again. Because it doesn't just reflect YouTube in a negative way when this stuff happens. It reflects Google overall and the people that own them. It reflects bad on them overall. But anyway, that's kind of how I started out the year. Basically, I still did my YouTubing, knowing that eventually I was going to be able to make some money back or make some money again down the line. But with that said, again, like I said, it was outside of that, it's been a good year. There's no doubt about that. Of course, personally, had to go out of state a few times, see family because of reasons that I've mentioned before and everything. I had to go out of state. I had to go from California back to Kansas. Had a good time, celebrated my birthday out there and everything. And, again, checked in on family that's dealing with some situations right now. And that's all I'm going to really say. But I will say this: if you ever took a red eye flight, yeah, it gets to you basically when you get in. It gets to you, especially if you just go nonstop from from landing where you are in Kansas City to going all the way to the city the college city where the Kansas State Wildcats are located. You know, with making a few stops here and there. Um, but anyway, outside of those two times, not too bad, not too bad of a year, honestly. And then of course, finally getting back to work at the same place I was the year before, even if it's seasonal, was a good deal to have, and just move, just go with and everything down the line. It was a good time to basically be able to take care of stuff, kind of splurge a little bit, and go from there. Um, but yeah, the year again, like I said, went by quick, and for personally, like I said, it's a good year, ups and downs a little bit. Back to work and everything, becoming a great uncle for I think what is it, the third time, but this time with my nephew and everything, my oldest nephew. So, that was great and everything. I know I say that. I know I'm saying great a lot, so I do apologize. um, but yeah, just a good year outside of that. But like I said, beginning it though, knowing that I was falsely claimed and I should have, done, and I've learned from that. So if anything was to happen again, Lord willing, it does not happen. It does not happen. Lord willing, because YouTube, Google keeps it on record. Um, I now know that you need to keep the video, that's falsely claimed and everything, and report it along with what's going on, so that they understand, they know that hey, this is not right. This is not the official people and everything. And again, I think it's just one of those situations to where people. I think, like I said earlier, there's a connection between those that took over the major channels out there, like PWU, Retro Rick, and Chris Bores, and so on, and people that do this. I think there's a connection, and hopefully that connection, is broken, and we never again have to deal with this, going forward. But outside of that, not not too bad, not too bad of a year. Got personally, like splurge wise, I was able to get my first Bose you know item, my first Bose item, which is my Sound Link, and I have to give a shout out to Andre Meadows of Black Nerd Comedy for talking about that when he was doing his discussion of cereals and everything in a previous in a or video he did earlier. So you know so I have to give a shout out to him for that. And then of course I got my second Bose item with one of my first few checks. That was the Bose Smart Sound Bar 600, which is the second to newest sound bar out there. It's only like 2 years old and everything, but it sounds great. Now what I got to do eventually is get the speakers to maybe really get. I mean, it sounds perfect anyway because it has that technology to give you true surround sound. So it feels like you could be sitting where I'm sitting right now recording this, and you could hear the sound like it's right there with you. So that it does live up to its hype. But they also say if you really want that immersion more so than what you're getting now, which is great, then get the sound speakers, and it'll be like you're going to have true immersion that way. Um, but be that as it may, again, again, not too bad of a year, except for the fact that it went by quickly. And we'll see what 2025 has to offer. Hopefully, I'll be working before before we get into the spring portion of the year and everything. But you know, that's up to God to where He wants to put me. If He wants to put me back where I was, just a month, just a few weeks ago, in February, if He wants to do that, that's up to Him. If He wants to put me at McDonald's or wherever, that's up to Him. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Or if He just wants me to, take a break and make money through monetization monthly with YouTube, and then eventually, get my UA really up and running more so than before, then so be it. That works too. But it's up to Him. It's ultimately up to Him in the end. But yeah, not too bad of a year, like I said. And politically, though, if you're someone that wants to look back at 2024 politically, I will say that it probably wasn't the best year you can think of, because if you were for someone like Joe Biden, you know, obviously what you were hoping wouldn't be true or turn out to be true, um, basically ended up being just that. Because everything, you thought was nothing but a lie, and everything all of a sudden turns out to be, exactly the opposite. Because it turns out that, yes, people were right about, the mass news media, the democratically liberal supported news media, you know, lying about Biden's situation, his mental and physical, cognitive, if you will. Basically it was all exposed. And for what reason? Well, because Biden and his team, or his team personally, wanted him to, debate, someone that officially had yet to get the Republican nomination, and that was Donald Trump. But because they wanted to prove a point that, hey, they're still going to be there. And what happens? Their little plan backfires. It backfires in their face, and in front of the world, in front of millions of viewers. In front of millions of viewers, people see Biden basically, essentially, break down. It's kind of like that old, it's like that old joke that, it's like that old stand-up routine that the late great Robin Williams did at the Met. Where he's talking about Reagan. This is one part in the routine where he's like, where he's talking about Reagan, and he's like, he's gonna be in a press conference. He's like, so one day he's gonna be at a press conference. He's gonna sit down, going like, well, I just ought to, something like that. Or it's like he's saying, one day he's gonna do a press conference. One day he's going to sit down doing a press conference, going like, well, I just want to tell you. That's basically physically and visually what we saw happen to Biden doing that debate with Trump. One that he didn't have to do, but his team wanted him to do. We saw him go like, we saw him going basically, while he was debating Trump, going like, well, let me answer that by, you know, he just basically, it's like they were asking him questions. It's like he was like a deer in the headlights, or it's like as soon as he was answering like if he was asked something about the border, he'd be like, well, let me tell you about how secure the border. That's what it was. That's what it was. It basically felt like he was doing exactly what Robin Williams and uh, parodied Reagan being like back during his term as president, in '86, because he'd be like, he'll be in front of a press conference going like, well, I just want to tell him, that's basically what happened to Biden. That's basically what happened to Biden. And now you have all this conspiracy theories and everything going out there where, essentially they're talking about, the Democratic Party and Nancy Pelosi and OAC and all of them set Biden up. Kamala Harris set Biden up so that, she could take over take his spot. And then my finger hit the mic there. I do apologize. But, that they could take over, take his spot. That Jill Biden, his own wife, and excuse me for a second, that's the phone. Hello? No, I'm not saying she will, but she gotta be. I just know her. Oh my god! I knew she was gonna do that. Hello? Hello? I don't like that. Why did you do that for? Oh my god! Now what? Hello? No. Yeah. 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 Sorry about that. I wish there was a pause option on the OBS. You know what I'm saying? Sorry about that. Again, though, like I said, what was it? Oh yeah. Basically, it's as I was saying, it's basically kind of like that situation to that kind of routine that Robin Williams was always that did he did on on Donald on Ronald Reagan. Excuse me there. Well, it was like, well, that's basically what happened to Biden. And a lot of people now are basically being very conspiracy theorists, if you will, by saying that they feel he was set up by Pelosi, by his own wife, by Harris, and so on. And what happens in the end? The plan, if that is true, if the theories are true, and it feels like the more every day that you hear people talk about this, I adjust my headset. The more you hear people talk about this, and the more news that comes out about it and everything, um, people are basically looking at the fact that whether or not that's true, them taking and putting Harris in his place did not work. It did not work, and a lot of people, when it comes to Harris, are like, "Well, that wasn't totally, the Harris's idea." Someone trying to play it off like, "Well, she didn't really want to run for president, but she had to because Pelosi suggested she be the one, and she didn't go through what Trump did. She didn't get an official nomination. You know, even when they had the DNC, she did not get an official nomination. And everything. So basically, to me, if you're somebody that was for Biden or for Harris or whatever, It just was not a good politically. It was not a good year because now, because of what they did and everything, you know, we are now heading back, to where we were in 2016 to 2020. And a lot that's why a lot of people went in DT's direction because they're like, well, look, if he's going to be willing to do all this and he's survived not one but two attempts on his life, you know, then God, obviously, a higher power, as some people might say, has a reason for him, taking office again. And we're already seeing the effects of him getting ready to go in as we speak. But yet you have all these people at these various places, MSNBC, ABC, CNN, that, basically, you have various people there that are not happy. But, there are some that are like, look, like Morning Joe, like Joe and his wife there on the Morning Joe show on MSNBC, they may not be happy that Trump won, but I could see the willing to concede and be like, look, we may not like the result, but, let's try to basically let's try to make good and maybe start off fresh, maybe, clean slate, go from there. That's why they went to Mar-a-Lago and wanted to talk with him. And they did. But yet you have other people like this Joy Reid on MSNBC. You have the Sunny Hostin over on The View on ABC that are like, they're pissed. They are pissed. You have Reid saying that, oh, suggesting riots and everything, and that doesn't make your party, Democratic or liberal or whatever, look good. You have Hostin on The View speaking out bluntly, and then because she's speaking out bluntly because she's pissed, she has to be told on air. They have to go to like a quick commercial break, come back. Whoopi has to hand Sunny basically a note to basically have Sunny clarify, essentially the truth. Basically on air, not once but twice, Hostin had to be held accountable for her words because because she's not willing to just let it go. Be like, look, we didn't get it this year, but 2028 is a different year. She can't accept that. And the reason being, and I say it with all due respect, no offense, is because they're mad. And they're not mad because, oh, Trump's back in office and everything. No. They're not mad because the Republican Party overall won the House and the Senate. No. What they're mad about, and I say it with all due respect, no offense, they're mad that for the third time, if not the second time, when it came to being one-on-one legitimately, or mostly, visually and nationally, internationally, when it came to basically one-on-one, that for the second time, the woman who was basically the head of the Democratic Party fell short to the nominee of the Republican Party being a male, and again for the second time being Trump. That's what they're mad about. And why are they mad about it? Well, because of what he did in the past. Look, he's not perfect, and I'm sure he realizes that's why a lot of people are against him, because he has yet to fully apologize in their eyes for his actions. So that's why you have people like Joy Reid. That's why you have people like Sunny Hostin and a bunch of others basically being like, I'm mad, I'm pissed, this is how I feel, and I don't care what people are going to say. And then you have people like Hostin being like, by the way, I've been corrected here. This is what's really going on. What I said were my views, not the views of the View. It's like, it's like basically, it's like basically, it's like they could not accept reality, and you could see that still to this day. You could see it. You can see it even out to this day. So politically, if you were someone that wanted, either Biden to continue or someone new to step in, on the Democratic, Liberal, Independent part or even Republican part, this was either a good year for you or it was a bad year for you. And basically, all I can say is come 2025, going into 2029, for these next 4 years, whether you love it or you hate, whether you love it or you don't, it's probably going to be the best thing for this country right now. And you know what's crazy too about this about this whole situation is you got Trump basically telling all these different countries, hey, if you don't stop doing this, if you don't help this from happening, if you don't stop, doing, basically, doing this manufacturing way and all that, excuse me, he's basically coming out and saying, I'm going to charge tariffs. Or I think this is called tariffs, right? And now you have the Prime Minister of Canada being like, look, we don't need tariffs. Let's talk this out and everything. And now you got a lot of people, even those in Canada, and I know some people, and I have a friend in Canada, Zara Nizarag, Sean McLean of the Multimedia Chronicles. You have people, and I'm not talking about him, but I'm talking about you have people in offices and everything in higher political areas there. You have some people taking what Trump said as a jest, as a troll job, seriously. You have them taking it as, being serious that, hey, Trump is considering making Canada the 51st state. And I'm like, I hear this. And I'm like, I could just see people like Zara Nizarek and Animat, who are Canadians. They're hearing this and they're like, please tell me that's a joke. Please tell me they're not seriously considering that. Because the last thing we want to be is part of a country that's led by Trump. Please don't let that be true. Please don't let that be in jest. Please don't let them take that seriously. But yet, you got some people that are. And hell, excuse my language, God, but heck, stranger things have happened. Things have happened in the past several years, and in this year alone, that we didn't think would ever happen again, or ever happen, period. And yet here we are. Here we are. You know, let me ask you this: if you're an MLB fan, did you think in 2024, over 40 years later, we would get the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series? No, you didn't. Did you think? Did you think we'd start 2024 in the NFL by crowning for the 2024 over the 2023 to early 2024 season? You think we'd be crowning the Chiefs as Super Bowl champions again? No. Nor did you think we'd get a rematch between them and the 49ers. No, you didn't think that. Did you think? Did you think that when Los Angeles was announced this year, or not this year, but a couple of years ago, did you think this year when it was announced how the 2028 games were going to be played, that you would even think that part of the LA games would be played in Oklahoma City? You didn't think that. You didn't think that would happen, did you? But yet, here we are. Here we are hearing that this year. The point I'm getting at is in the past several years, a lot of strange stuff, and especially, like I said, this year, a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have gone down. And, I don't put anything past I don't put any possibility past anything anymore. Even if it's a joke and something in jest and troll job and trolling and all that by president elect, I would not put it past anybody in a political power, high political power in Canada, whether it's Central Canada, East Canada, or West Canada, South Canada, or North Canada. I would not put it past any of those people in power to basically say, hey, this might not be a bad idea. Let's make it happen. Because how many times we heard throughout the years? How many times? How many times have we heard throughout the years that basically, you know, how many times have we heard throughout the years that, they want to make Puerto Rico the 51st state? How many times have we heard that throughout the years? How many times have we heard that? How many times have we heard that? A lot. We've heard it a lot. So, to me, I'm not, and yet nothing has happened, but yet Puerto Rico is basically like a subsidiary of the United States, a subsidiary like state. So it's almost like it's the 51st state, but it's not. It's like the 50th and a half state. No offense, but I would not put it past anything for something like that, something that historic to happen. I wouldn't, I wouldn't. Would you? Would you guys listening? And again, super chats are open if you want to help donate that way. But would you put it past anything like that happening? I wouldn't. I wouldn't put it past. Period. I wouldn't. I would not, you know, put it past the fact that by the time we get into mid 2025, we start hearing more about that being a reality. Now the question is for those in Canada, that might be affected by this. Like, let's say you live on the west side, like Zara Nizarak does, or you live somewhere in the central to east side of it, like let's say Animat does. How would you guys feel if all of a sudden you hear on the news West Canada or East Canada is now part of the United States as the 51st state? How would you guys feel? How would you guys take that? You know, how would anybody in Canada take that? I'm just saying. I'm just saying because, would they be willing to be like, look, I'm going to be under the, I'm going to be having a guy I don't want based on what, assumingly, he's done in the past, leading me, as part of this country now. I don't like it, but I'll tolerate it. Or are you going to be like, you know what? Let me find my passport. Let me go get a green card. Let me pack up some stuff. Ship it on a plane. Put my car on a plane. I'm going to the UK. Bye. Are you going to do that? Or are people going to do that if something like this was to happen? I don't know. I don't know. But again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think, again, like a lot of people, even though that Fox News and Newsmax and other places, we all know it's in jest. We all know it's in a jest, very jesting, jokingly, um, reasoning in a way. So I have no doubt that it won't happen. But if it was to happen, I won't be surprised. I wouldn't be. But I don't think it will. I don't think it will. But again, stranger historical things have happened. Get me more coffee there. But yeah, politically, you know, 2024 may or may not been your year. But be that as you will. Be that as you will. Um, I will say this though. I will say this though. If you're a wrestling fan, a pro wrestling fan, um, I will say this. It's been quite the year as far as that goes, doesn't it? It's been quite the year. I mean, when you think about it, when you think about it, if you're an overall fan, you're you're happy with the way some things have been going, and you're not happy with the way some other things have been going. You're happy that the longest one of the probably the longest lasting company in the modern era is getting back on track, while one that had potential to be, you know, the change pro wrestling needed is falling down the wrong path. And And it's like it has the potential to do good, but the people leading it is what's causing it to fall apart, and that's not good in its own right. I mean, of course, I'm talking about WWE and AEW. WWE basically being where it needs to be, and people are happy about that. And AEW having that potential to be the change wrestling needed, and yet now it's going down a path that basically could cause its demise. After this new contract media rights deal that they have comes to an end within the next 3 to 4 years. You know, and that's not a good sign. I mean, if you're an overall fan. Now, if you're an AEW fan, and you're more realistic about the situation, you realize that, yeah, my company has the potential to be great, but it's not going to be great if we don't get somebody else in charge. And that's a fact. That is a fact. I mean, you look at World's End last night, and I don't know if they were able to at least get a decent sized crowd above 6,000, at the venue where they were. But they were on pace of being outsold by a live event, part of WWE's holiday tour at the Kia Center in Orlando, which was like, I think, down the street, by at least 2,000, 3,000 fans. And that's not a good sign. Because usually a pay per view, if it's held in the same city as another company's live event is, that pay per view should be drawing more than the live event. But it shows you, where AEW has gone, within this year. I mean, I do agree. I do agree. AEW, at the start of the year and in midpoint of the year, showed that it can be good. It showed that it can, be the change once again that it always set out to say, that Tony Khan and everybody, that works there basically said that it's set out to be. And yet, despite what we saw going into Revolution, the sellout crowd that they had at the Greensboro Coliseum, for Sting's last match, and afterwards, and even before a little bit, and then somewhat in the middle, it's like all of a sudden it's like in between, it's like afterwards, it's like it's like, again, before and after Sting's retirement, things were looking up, and then all of a sudden, it just drifted down, going into Double or Nothing, going into Dynasty and Double or Nothing, I should say. It started to drift down. And then in the middle parts going into All In, it felt like it was picking back up, and then after All In, it fell apart again. It's like they don't know, what they really want. It's like they don't know what they really want in the end. And that's what's sad. That's what's sad about this whole situation. They don't know what they want. And I honestly, and hold on for a second. I had to scratch my ear there. Sorry for that. But anyway, it's like they don't know what they want. They don't know what they want to be. It's like they have the potential. AEW has this potential to basically, they have to kick the door down, kick the door down, bash it down, and basically leave it in a million pieces, and just keep marching on and marching on to to success that they know they could do, but yet they don't capitalize on that potential. They have something. They do have something, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. They do have something with this whole Death Riders hostile takeover, hostile control situation right now, storyline that they got going on with with John Moxley, Claudio, Marina, Wheeler, Pac. They have this storyline going on to where it's like they want to take control, they want to take over, but yet it's like they can't find a way to capitalize on it, and and try to really make it into something that's going to get people talking. It's like it's like it's like they have the main piece there. They have other pieces coming in that could fill in the gaps needed to make it interesting. Like they had Adam Copeland and FTR come together as a stable called Rated FTR. It's it's like you have all the potential, all the pieces, aligned to really get people talking, and yet nothing. And nobody knows whether or not Tony Khan is booking things creatively, writing things creatively, enough, really filling in the gaps, the details that are needed, or if he's letting people like Moxley and Mercedes and others do the creative writing for themselves, when that shouldn't be the case. We don't know. We don't know. But what's really like the sticking point that's causing AEW to hit all those landmines is something that Tony Khan basically said, hey, this helped us get our media deal. I'm happy for it. I'm happy for the fact that this helped us. But yet, it was a black eye on the company. And that was the fact that they decided around WrestleMania time or a little afterwards, after CM Punk did the interview with Ariel Helwani, that in response they were going to show, to kind of make it part of the FTR Young Bucks storyline that we've seen before, try to put more emphasis and interest in it. They decide, hey, you know what would be a great way to promote this feud and everything, but also be a way to show that we're in the right, he's in the wrong? Let's show the security footage from backstage at All In 2020, or 2023 I should say, the backstage footage from All In 2023, the confrontation between Jack Perry and CM Punk. They decided, hey, let's see if we could do that, make it more interesting, when in reality it was just a ratings ploy. Yeah, it got people to tune in because, hey, CM Punk on AEW, even if it's security footage, it got people to tune in, but then what happened after that? And what is WWE doing in return? They're laughing all the way to the bank. They're laughing at how pathetic this was on Tony Khan's part to get ratings. To try to prove he was in the right, CM Punk was in the wrong. It's like, I'm getting some more coffee there. It's like basically, it's like Tony Khan, I think, and I believe, knows he's basically captaining a sinking ship. I think he knows that. And he's trying everything to keep it afloat. He is basically throwing everything in all the holes in his ship to patch him up, to keep it afloat as long as he can, till he, reaches land or his destination, to where he can build from there. I believe he knows he's running a sinking ship, but he just does not want to admit it. And yet you have WWE that, yeah, they're not perfect either. They've had ups and downs. If you don't believe me, ask people like JD from NY206 of Off the Script, Solomonster, if Solomonster sounds off, Alex Hicks of Just Alex, Greg Morgan, Good Mic Work, and so on, OTR Central. Ask them, whether WWE's been perfect this year. They haven't. I mean, they looked at SmackDown the final SmackDown, the final 2-hour SmackDown, by the way, on USA this past Friday, the final one of the year, as boring. The only interesting thing coming out of it was, basically, I'm trying to find the right word to say here. Basically, the only interesting things coming out of it was a continuation of the Meechin Chelsea Green U.S. title feud, with hints of dissension with little sprinkles of dissension, of Piper Niven and Chelsea Green thrown in there. You have the whole Nakamura Andrade thing being built up. And then to top it off, you have the Bloodline being put into a situation to where, not only are they in a trios feud with a couple of people, with LA Knight, Apollo Crews, and who else? Can't think of the name. I can't think of who else it is. Sami Zayn, I think. Sami Zayn, I believe. Who's a Raw guy but might be going over to SmackDown. You have them in a situation there. Also preparing Solo for tribal combat against Roman Reigns on January 6th. You have that going on. And then on top of that, mind you, you have Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens basically being put into an undisputed unification match for both the modern WWE Championship and the Winged Eagle WWE Championship in a ladder match at the Royal Rumble. So, yeah, those are the interesting things coming out, but but in the eyes of someone like, let's say, you also had more of a build, and more added, I guess you could say, complexity to the Who Attacked Jade storyline with Nia Jax and Candice LeRae basically blaming Bianca Belair for what happened, calling her out, saying you might have done it. So there were interesting tidbits here and there, but to some that wasn't enough. And the only thing being interesting was the Rhodes Owens continuation, now with the ladder match stipulation added in. And you have people like JD saying, yeah, it was, yeah, we had some interesting things, but it wasn't a very good show. So again, WWE was not really perfect throughout this year either. So there is no denying that, at all. But if you were to tell the overall wrestling fan that likes all things wrestling, WWE, AEW, TNA, AAA, New Japan, Rev Pro, so on, if you were to ask them who's had the better year between the two main companies in the United States, the top two, AEW and WWE, people will say WWE had the better year. And not only did they have the better year, but their third brand on CW, NXT, the developmental brand, has been a better show than AEW. And even people like JD, who doesn't watch NXT and still feels it needs improvement, would even say that. And he's even called out the fact that AEW has been beaten by NXT, almost every time almost every week, whether they're going head to head because of certain things preempting NXT or AEW to go to a different night, or just because of the fact that more people would watch a Tuesday night show over a Wednesday night show. Again, despite them having their flaws, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, or NXT, WWE, if you ask the overall fan, has had the better year. Especially when you look at the fact that a live event outsells a pay-per-view when it should be the opposite. That's not good. That's not good whatsoever. Getting more coffee there. But again, that's not good whatsoever when that happens. That's not good. That's not good whatsoever. And honestly, I don't blame people for saying that or looking at it that way. I mean, even people would say, this is where AEW is right now, and I'm not trying to crap on them, but this is what All Elite Wrestling is right now. TNA, yes, they have association with WWE, but TNA is outselling smaller venues than AEW. Yeah, AEW did okay in the Hammerstein Ballroom with it and Ring of Honor, but guess what? Was it a complete sellout? From what I saw, no. Was it reported as a complete sellout? No. But it was a decent crowd. But TNA's, picking up the pace to the point that they can outsell that more than AEW. They're going to go to the Galen Center in Los Angeles, try to sell that out, and try to sell out the same venue AEW has held pay-per-views in Long Island. And they might just do it, especially if they configure it in a way that will accomplish that. And that's the one thing some people have said that AEW should do. They should configure an arena, even if it's a big venue, so that they could sell it out. So let's say, for example, they've booked the Crypto Arena for Revolution, right? The former Staples Center. The Crypto Arena in Los Angeles. that can hold about what 16, 17,000 people, maybe 20,000. You know, at the rate they're going, they need to configure that for half of that amount, maybe if not maybe let's say not just half of that, but maybe 60%, 70% less than that. So instead of maybe 20,000, you could have you can have a configuration for 10,000, if not 5,000. That way you can see, yeah, we sold out. The former Staples Center with 5,000 tickets because that's what you configured the arena for. That would be the best option. Or if I'm them, I would book a backup venue just in case I don't sell out the crypto arena. I'm just saying, if I'm AEW, that's what I would do. Not saying that I should, but that's what I would do. Honestly. Honestly. Because if TNA sells out the Galen Center, which I think AEW should book as a backup as well for Revolution, but if they sell out the Galen Center and they sell out more, well, I wouldn't say not the entire venue, but if they outsell attendance wise the UBS Arena in Long Island, more so than AEW, then that's not a good sign. That essentially would make TNA number 2 again behind WWE, and AEW falls to number 3. And if I'm Tony Khan, I don't want that. I don't want that. But yet that feels like it's going to happen. That feels like it's going to happen. You know, and here's what's crazy. JD from NY206 of Off the Script and Solid Monster, they do commentary, play-by-play and commentary, as well as Solid Monster as the commissioner for House of Glory, Hog Wrestling, located in New York, and they're trying to expand outside of that. They had a show. They had a show in Chicago. They got another show coming up in Chicago next month. They had a show in Philadelphia earlier this year during WrestleMania weekend. They're trying to expand, and maybe eventually they'll come out to the West Coast. But I guarantee you, House of Glory, could outsell AEW at the Hammerstein Ballroom. That's a fact. And matter of fact, GCW, Game Changer Wrestling, is booked for the Hammerstein Ballroom. Guess what? They'll probably outsell it more so than them. And that's a fact. That's not fantasizing, that's a fact. They could probably outsell them. And here's the thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the way things are going with AEW, I would not be surprised if that occurs. I would not be surprised. But here's what's crazy, though. Here's what's crazy. Has AEW hit 1 million views on some of the videos? That they upload to YouTube. Have they hit 1 million views? I don't know. Let me check. They might have hit 1 million views. With Adam Copeland's return last night. But let me check. Let's go to AEW. Let's see. Post show, the media scrum. That's only hit 83 views as of 15 hours ago. 15 hours ago it happened, so it only hit like 15 views. The pre-show only hit 204,000 views. And like I said, the post-show media scrum only hit 83,000 views so far, over that. The media scrum for Final Battle, which was 8 days ago, only 29,000. The pre-show, 54,000. That's not good. 2 weeks ago, 55,000 views for the All In Texas countdown to on sale. Only 55 views. That's not good. That's not good, folks. That's not good whatsoever. A lot of the videos, the highlights, it's like It's like none of them have cracked 3,000 or it's bad. It is bad, folks. That is bad. But you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? And I'm going to look this up right now. I'll look this up right now. Okay? I'm going to look this up right now. DCA. See. You see something. I'm going to look it up right now, folks. Here we are. So let me see. I'm trying to look here. In 2 days, their episode 213 or 216 of their DCA Throwdown has 175 views. Okay, that's not a lot, but that's in 2 days. 175 views. That tells me that eventually they can end up doing more. All right, they can end up doing more. The point I'm getting at is they have proven in the past, and I've seen this. I have seen this. They have proven in the past that they can go over a certain amount of views. And that's not a lie. That's not a lie. You know, in fact, you know what's crazy? One video, or not one video, but a two-part video that I did years ago. That I did years ago, basically, and I mean like a decade ago or something like that. It's got more views. And this, I think, was a Royal Rumble match I did, an All-Star Royal Rumble match. It's got more views. More views. It's the truth. It's got more views. Than I think anything AEW has done in recent months. More views. And that's bad. That is bad. That is bad. You know, trying to see here. That's not it. But yeah, what the point I'm getting at? The point I'm getting at is that when you have a CAW league, and within 2 days, if not less, a CAW league with its Destiny Championship Alliance, CAW Champions League, Virtual Wrestling United, you name it, whatever. When you have them outselling, basically outviewing you on YouTube, on a platform like YouTube, outviewing you overall when people tune into your show. When you have that happen, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign whatsoever. That's not. And people would rather watch a CAW match than anything. They'd rather watch it. They'd rather watch it. And I'm not lying about that. I guarantee you, there have been several CAW events that have happened the same day AEW events have happened this year, and people have watched them more than AEW. I mean, when your media scrum from last night's World's End It's only cracking 85,000 plus viewership wise. Some might say that's good, but it's not. It's not good. It's not good. And when your Ring of Honor media scrum and post show is not doing good viewership wise, it shows you have a problem. It shows you have a problem. Again, it shows essentially that you have you have a problem. You have a problem in everything, and that's not good. I'm trying to find something here. It's not it. Well, it used to be on here. They used to have a CCL, like I said, CAW Champions League. But again, that's not good. That's not good. I mean, let's see here. Trying to. Yeah, but like I said, that's not good. In fact, if you just do overall, on that, let's see, all call wrestling. Let's see. Wrestling. Okay. Trying to look here. Some recent ones. Not all are recent, but I'm telling you right now, these get more views than I think anything sometimes. They get more views than I think AEW gets sometimes. Let's see. Steam Call Wrestling. This is old. Let's see. Oh, wait. I think it's got a list in something. Ah, here we go. CCL on YouTube. Here we go. Alright, so. Yeah, they don't have many views, but the thing is, if you were to compare the views to what's going on now, there is no doubt in my mind, people would be choosing, they'd be choosing, CCL, COD Champions League, over AEW. Let's see, CAW All Stars. Let's see that one. Okay. So, the views aren't big either, but still the point is, if you were to have them go head to head with AEW, at the same time AEW does a Dynamite or a Collision, or even a pay-per-view, there's a good chance they might get watched more so than AEW. Let's see. This one is... Okay, this is live streams. Okay, alright, so they didn't do any live streams recently. I'm trying to look here. But in 2 weeks, get this. So it's only 2 weeks, but they already have on the SWW Rush 29th episode, they have like 1.7 thousand views. Now you might say, oh, that's nothing compared to AEW's views, and that's true as of now. But if AEW, if that within the next couple of weeks, if not couple of days, grows and has more views than AEW stuff, that's going to be something right there. That's going to be something right there. Point I'm getting at, and I do apologize for any pause or silences throughout this as I was looking things up on my television on the YouTube app. Get more coffee there. Point I'm getting at is that if AEW wants 2025 to be that bounce back year, that year that proves that they are still exactly who they say they are, then they need to get their priorities straight. They need to. They need to get their priorities straight, and they need to get them straight in a big, big way. Because if not, you know what's going to happen? 2025 is going to be a year where AEW not only becomes the number three promotion behind WWE and TNA, but they just might be the number four promotion behind curated wrestling leagues. Yeah, that could happen. That could happen. Somebody, let's say at D Wall, I think that's his name. I think his name is D Wall. Let me find this again. But you know, D Wall. See, I know his things here somewhere. But basically, D Wall 4869 D Wall 4869 here on YouTube. He might suddenly put out a CPV, which is short for Created Wrestling Pay Per View or Created Wrestling Per View. He might put out that live stream or recorded, put together and then edited together, stuff like that. Could be. He might do that, and all of a sudden, that event, whether it's a weekly event, whether blah, 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 get a little tongue tied. He might do that as a CPV or maybe even a weekly event. What is it? He could put something like that together. Let's say CPV event. Again, I'm getting a little tongue tied, brain farts and all that. I do apologize. But anyway, basically, he could put something like that together, and on one night, if not 1 week, viewership wise, it could outdo AEW because of the direction AEW is going right now. It could. He could. I'm not lying about that. He could put on, because I think he's got a CPV coming up soon, right? For those that follow DCA Wrestling, for his CAW league. That event that he has got coming up, that night could outdo. That one night it happens could be the night that viewership wise could outdo AEW's views on some of their stuff. If he does it on the same day they have New Year's Dynamite, and it outdraws any highlights and clips they put on the YouTube channel, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. And I'm not lying about that either. Get more coffee. Get more coffee here. But yeah, to me, AEW, if you're a pro wrestling fan, overall, if not loyal AEW loyalist, you want 2025 to be the year AEW finally says, we're still the alternative, we're still the change wrestling needs, here's the proof. Because if they don't do it, TNA is going to take over that number 2 spot. They'll fall to number 3. And you know what's crazy? They might even fall behind the CAW Creative Wrestling League that's made courtesy of WWE 2K24 or 2K25, if not a CAW league that's created via their own AEW Fight Forever game. That's what's going to happen. And WWE is going to be sitting pretty on top, looking down and having a good laugh, thinking, ah ha ha, you tried, Tony, ha ha. Shows you that maybe fans don't know any better than those that have been in the business. And here's the thing: people can criticize criticize the likes of a JD or a Solid Monster. Here's the thing: they work in the business, they understand the business, so they have more of a right than I think a lot of us to give critiques on what needs to change within All Elite Wrestling. Now again, it wasn't a bad year for WWE either. We know that. Sometimes they've had sleeper hits. Not sleeper hits. Sometimes, they've had sleeper hits. When it comes to Raws and SmackDowns. But sometimes they've had lackluster Raws. They've had lackluster SmackDowns. Heck, some of the pay-per-views, premium live events, haven't been up to snuff, at times. But still, people prefer them more so than anything else. And it's not because they've been around longer. It's because they're pumping out the better product, and they have people that understand the ins and outs of the business. AEW is in a situation right now where it feels like they're lost. Where Tony Khan feels like he's lost and he doesn't know what to do. And like I said earlier, he's trying to patch up a sinking ship. And it's not working. Because the more he patches up, the more holes start to appear. So, if you're an overall wrestling fan, or if you're not a true diehard AEW loyalist, you need to pray, you need to hope that they turn it around in 2025. Because, like everybody says, and I agree, wrestling needs a company like AEW to survive. They need it to thrive and survive. Because if you're only stuck with WWE, and to an extent TNA, who has a partnership with WWE, and they don't have a partnership. Well, I think they're gonna probably have a partnership with AAA next year, and all that. So they might have a partnership there. They have a partnership with Pro Wrestling Noah and All Japan. But if you don't have, if you don't have an outlet like AEW to try to be neck and neck with them, then basically wrestling for a while might be in a good state, but then overall could fall apart. So you need to pray and hope AEW gets it together. Because like I said, they could end up next year, if they don't, being behind CAW leagues, creator wrestling leagues made thanks to wrestling video games. And with more wrestling video games coming out within the next year outside of WWE 2K25, that's gonna open the door even more, and that could hurt AEW even more, because people could use those wrestling games like they've used other wrestling games to put matches together, to tell stories, in a way that they can't tell with the likes of WWE 2K or AEW Fight Forever. Excuse me. So they gotta hope you better hope and pray they get their act together tomorrow, next year, because if they don't, you know, the ink is only good. What's that old saying? The ink is only good as the paper is printed on, right? The ink's only good as the paper is printed on. Well, that paper, that media rights contract, that won't be worth diddly squat. It won't be worth diddly squat after this year if they don't get their act together. I mean, here's what's crazy. They're being outviewed, YouTube and television wise, outviewed by Women of Wrestling. And Women of Wrestling comes on at different times on the CW network, syndicated, from a syndicated standpoint. They come on different times on the CW and on Vice at different times, on different days, but they draw more viewership, by people watching them, and more viewership on the YouTube clips. And that's not good. That's not. So if I'm Tony Khan, I get my act together come 2025, because he could be eventually left in the dust. I mean, when people rank a top 5 next year of wrestling promotions or wrestling people like pro wrestling wise, WWE would be number 1, TNA would be number 2, number 3 could be a CAW league, number 4 could be Women of Wrestling, WOW, and number 5 could be AEW. And that's it. And that's not a good look. That's not a good look. But hopefully they get their act together. Hopefully they get their act together next year. Hopefully they do. And if you're a loyalist, you need to pray that they do. You need to praise that they do. But outside of that, 2024 has actually been a good year too for indie animation. Yeah, YouTube has been the home of indie animation. VENMO has been the home of indie animation, and they have thrived. Team Season has been showing more work that they've been completing and have had in progress as far as season 3 goes, or at least the pilot for the Lost season 3 to be shown. And from what I've seen and others have seen that supported them, it doesn't get any better than what they've gotten together. And you can only imagine what it's going to be like when they piece that all together and we get a full 22 minute something episode, if not 44 minute something episode, to really sink our teeth into. And then you got the Sonic fan film villain, the Sonic Villains fan film making progress. You've got people using AI and SFM animation to make little things here and there. Indie come into its own, not just in 2023, but more so this year than ever. It has. You're seeing trailers for something that's going to come out next May for, what is it, Spice Frontier, which is an indie animation. You know, again, it's just coming into its own, and it's just going to grow more so in 2025. I mean, you had a movie get premiered on here based on a concept that a fan that someone created on DeviantArt called Nothing Unusual, and now they got a follow up coming up next year. That's crazy. That is crazy. So indie animation has really started to come into its own. It's really started to come into its own as far as 2024 is concerned, more so than I think it ever has. I mean, Hell of a Boss has really just taken off in a big way. I mean, the final two episodes were like, master classes in indie animation. You know how far it's come. Not just from an animation and character design standpoint, but from storytelling as well. Just terrific, just absolutely perfect in my opinion. And it's just, like I said, it's just going to get better and better. And now with the advent of all these AI services out there, like Kling and Halo U and Luma and Pixverse and Pika Art, if you will, and many others, Video.net and Runaway, all so Sorora, all these coming into their own, and now you got Google with VO2. Um, you got all these different AI platforms, and a lot of them give you that option to do animation as a way to bring your prompt to life. It's it's just amazing to see. It's just amazing to see all these outlets that are allowing you that opportunity to bring indie animation to another level, or at least help indie animation get to that next level. And I think a lot of people are right. I mean, they got their own opinions, but I think a lot of people are right. Indie animation really is scaring the hell. Excuse my language, God. Scaring the heck out of Hollywood. It is. It is scaring the heck out of Hollywood, and they know it. They know it. And I don't, I don't think, I don't think there's nothing that's going to stop it. There's nothing that's really going to stop it, in my opinion. Because when you look at it with indie animation, with indie animation, with indie animation and all that, you can bring a lot of what you want to see to life. I mean, again, I say AI, is going to help in that field, and it is, whether people want to admit that or not. Because here's what's crazy. I've taken some scenes from some stories that I've read on DeviantArt and so on, and I've applied them to AI, text to video prompts and everything. And sometimes the results, depending on what I use, turn out to be great. They turn out to be terrific, in my opinion. They feel like they feel like this is exactly how it's meant to look like, visually. So to me, it's just you see a lot of this happening, a lot of this progress happening, and it just shows you that 2024 really, through the advent of AI and all the AI outlets out there, it's just helping, indie animation take that stepping stone in the next direction to be, exactly what Hollywood is scared of. Because with indie animation, you can make all what you want to see, all your dreams come true, through that outlet. You can make it all come true. And I think a lot of people know that. I think a lot of people realize that and they know it. One person I follow and support, Trouble TRO, he knows it. He knows it better than anybody because he's been using these AI outlets to bring certain scenes from his Pink Benefits, Cat Burglar, his Pink Benefits, series and a series of stories, his Cat Burglar series of stories, his Science Experiment one, and so on. He's been using these AI outlets to bring certain moments and certain scenes to life because everyone's aspiration, everyone's aspiration at the end of the day is to see those stories brought to life on the screen. And if he can eventually, do it to where he can make a movie, if not a mini episode, a mini-sode, if you will, of his stories, then so be it. So be it. So yeah, indie animation's really just taking off, and I am not going to be surprised within the next several years if some of the indie animations that have gotten, off the ground and become the successes that they are, like, Vivia, Vizzy Pop's Hell of a Boss, and Has Been Hotel. I will not be surprised within the next several years you hear Vizzy Pop come out and announce that she's basically working on developing, or if not has in development, a Has Been Hotel movie to be shown on the big screen, or she's developing or has in development a Hell of a Boss movie to be seen on the big screen. Do not be surprised by that. And my finger hit the mic there, so I do apologize. But do not be surprised if that happens. I would not be surprised if it happens. So that's why I'm telling you, don't be surprised within the next year, maybe even next year period, that that we hear something like that, occurring. Whether it's a movie that gets a limited theatrical release and then heads to Prime Video in the case of Has Been, or it gets a limited theatrical release and gets sent straight to YouTube because that's what it's seen like Hell of a Boss. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna sit here and say it won't happen because right now we're in a situation where I think it can. I think it can happen. It probably will happen. So I'm not I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that whatsoever. But yeah, indie animation, thanks to the advent of AI helping it out, it's really coming into its own. It's really coming to its own in 2024, and you can only imagine what 2025 is going to have in store as well. But yeah, outside of that, can't think of anything else. We've had some bad news. We've lost some, notable names throughout the year, throughout this year, of course, and everything. Like, recently, if you're a sports fan, we've lost the likes of Ricky Henderson and Greg Gumbel. If you're a fan of celebrities, we've lost Donald Sutherland. I think it's Donald Sutherland we lost this year, and the Margaret. What's it say? The Margaret lady, or Maggie lady, whatever her name is, who was in Harry Potter. We lost her this year. So yeah, it's just So yeah, we've lost a lot of people, celebrity wise, sports wise. We've lost a lot of innocent people due to circumstances that were beyond their control because people were not in the right mind or people weren't thinking or looking when they're driving and stuff. So, yeah, we've had a year of losses as well. So there's there's no denying that. There's no denying that. But outside of outside of that, you know, outside of that, can't say any more than hopefully 2025 will be a year that is going to start off positively and we'll just go from there. I can definitely say that whether people want to admit it or not, we are going to see changes. We are going to see changes. There's no doubt. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to come on here and talk about 2024. Look back on it. I know we only have two. And that's the phone for a second. Hold on for a second. Sorry about that. I told you there were going to be interruptions. I was asked to do a favor, which I have no problem doing because it's for family and everything. So I was asked to do a favor, so that's all I'm going to say. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to come on here and talk about 2024, look back on it, and just give you my thoughts overall from a personal standpoint and from headlining standpoint, from political to sport to wrestling and all that, and entertainment wise and everything. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to say, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section because I know some of you might be listening to this post live stream and everything. So let me know what your thoughts are down below. Thank you for the support this year. I really appreciate it. Hopefully next year will be a lot better. And like I said earlier, hopefully people like myself and Retro Rick and Chris Bors and anybody else doesn't have to deal with the BS that we've dealt with earlier this year or recently when it comes to our channels. And Lord willing, that doesn't happen. And hopefully pray and hope that it doesn't happen to anybody else. Um, because because it's a real annoyance when that happens. But thank the Lord, YouTube is at least keeping an eye out and saying, hey, hey, we're not going to let this happen again. We have records of it, so yeah, so hopefully 2025 is a better year financially, monetizing wise for a lot of us. But again, comment down below, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are overall, and I will talk to you later. I might do another live stream if I can to give you my thoughts on something else. But until then, guys, I will talk to you later. Thank you all for tuning in.